So recording progress. So one of the main things that we need to go over today is this wonderful presentation over here that I got. And the main thing about this presentation is it's more, Adam was really helpful in kind of crafting this and creating something that we can give. It's not so much for our internal space, because we have another presentation that's more internal, Emma, that kind of details more of like how the elements are being used, and how, that whole configuration, how we're using the elements as a curriculum, right? That's more for the presenters and for the facilitators that are involved. But we needed something that we can share with potential production partners, which we need to start reaching out to. And so one of the main things, Charlie, that Adam articulated so well is that we're producing community-based learning entertainment. That language is super important. In the sense that, like, here's Emma, and Emma wants to participate and she wants to teach something in here, right? At some point. So how do we make this a community-based learning, engagement? So, and we're entertainment. At the end of the day, like, we're doing entertainment. We're not competing in the education space.
Right.
And just to give you some background, Emma, we actually presented several times for a couple of different school districts. We created like 20 plus page presentations with like detailed information of like the STEM or STEAM kind of like things. And we gave it to people in the school districts, and they denied us, saying that we're not big enough organizations during the pandemic. Like, while they were not even giving kids stuff, they didn't even. So we're like, there's no point in us moving towards doing stuff in education, because there seems to be a lot of blocks there.
So who's this presentation been to so far? Or you're now creating this one to go out to production partners?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So here, I can kind of skim through this, and maybe I'll.
Hey.
Oh, there's Mick too. Hey, what's up, Mick?
Hey, Mick. Hey, guys. Hey, bros. Hey, Emma.
What's up?
Nice
actually, maybe even before we get started, maybe really quickly, Emma, while you have a second, maybe you can share, in your words, like what brings you here, why this excites you, and like, yeah, how would you see yourself, envision yourself contributing?
Well, I always trust Adam when he tells me to speak to someone. We kind of operate in that way, and have known each other for many years. And I've played a role in Honora's shaping from the very early days. So yeah, we kind of orbit one another, and only fruitful things seem to come out of those interactions. So even on that alone, it's like, need to explore. And he mentioned that some stuff was being shaped up, focused on high schoolers, which obviously he does lots of work with, me not as much, but that teaching meditation could be part of the programming. And I've taught Adam and his wife meditation. We go way back on that. So that was kind of a pocket that I was interested in exploring how I might be able to contribute.
Awesome, thank you. And Emma's also in Toronto, so something for us to think about too is like, how do we maybe bring this to Canada too at some point?
For sure. You have a lot of ties up there, right, Indy? Yeah, me too. I've got a bunch of friends in Toronto. So
big time.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then really quickly, Emma, just because you and I spoke, but maybe Mick and Charlie, can you guys share with Emma, like what your guys quickly, like what your background is? And
sure. Yeah. Excuse me. Need a little water. Yeah. So My background's varied. It's art, science are the main kind of interests that have led me through life for the most part. Art, science, meditation, consciousness, and I think that's one of the things that really has drawn me to this the Cosmic Labyrinth Collective. Besides the fact that it's led by awesome people and we're an awesome group of friends, we have this this core set of interdisciplinary ideas that goes beyond what interdisciplinary is defined as in academia. It's like that we're taking it up to like 2,000 years into the future, I feel like, with the way we're thinking about things. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, I worked at UCLA for a while at the ArtSci Center, running the exhibitions programs there, and talking about the intersection between like nanoscience and media art a lot, and as well as making my own work with the microbiome, and thinking about the way in which microbes can help us understand all life on Earth, and on other planets as well. So, yeah, took a deep dive into Kundalini Yoga and Sikh faith, and that's how I kind of reconnected with Indy about, what was that, a few years ago. Losing track of time. We met about 5 or 6 years ago and reconnected about 3 years ago, around that. So yeah, we've been working on this Cosmic Labyrinth collaboration for a couple of years now, a lot all online, and we're really excited to make it a big live event. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, for me, my background's in tech. Graduated computer science. I was in programming, but I got into websites and gaming, and eventually worked up at Disney. And that's where I got a lot of my game experience. And then left the game space just because I felt like there's a missed opportunity to actually teach things in games. I mean, we learn so many games, and there's not like you walk out knowing all these great stuff that's kind of useless, so you don't use in life. And so I want to kind of turn that around and say, how do we actually teach real, like, hard sciences in these games so that sciences actually become more second nature? And then got into VR, and then kind of left the whole tech space, and then moved into acupuncture. And I'm currently in acupuncture, Chinese medicine, and teaching and going into medicine, but really also like bringing my background in game design and actually trying to redefine like gamifying like industries. And so what if I can just gamify TCM right now? And so I've been working on that, and through that, kind of the Cosmic Labyrinth is more like a place for us to like be forever students and teachers together, because I love school, but like I think school is too archaic to learn. So we just need a new platform for us to really enjoy sharing our passions and not feel defeated when you want to be curious. It's really silly that we have to reinvent like the purpose of what knowledge and wisdom is. So been on this journey with everybody here too, just to like shape what how we can learn things and then build things together.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks to both of you for that background. It's really helpful for me. Nice to meet you both.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So time to jump into this this bad boy here. So I'm sure I know, Mick, you like looked through it. I kind of went through, and thank you for dropping some pictures and some visuals, and that was super helpful. Charlie, I know you were looking at it, but this is kind of what was synthesized through Adam's like genius. And what kind of came through was like these, rather than like focusing on like telling people what we're doing, it's more about asking questions. So that even when we present this to people, like it's like, hey, like, how do we do this stuff? Like, and we're the SOILstice, project is just a exploration of like these questions, right? How do we give youth skill sets that help them survive? How do we engage young citizens? How do we create immersive curriculum, right? These ideas. Any questions about this or any ideas coming up?
So are these like kind of like what we're trying to address in our presence. So like the three problems.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Okay, and then this is like obviously like the problem, quote unquote, like perspective. These are pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
redundant at this point, right? Um, anything on this? Any ideas, Mick? Any thoughts? Wait, oh, you're muted.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't even mention the fact that how much I've been involved with education for the past like 10 years as well, and I'm currently run workshops as a STEAM educator. And so, I mean, a lot of these questions are definitely coming up with like seeing kids coming out of the pandemic. I mean, all of these were already happening before the pandemic, but because of the complete isolation that it caused, now it's just even more extreme. And so, yeah, it's like, how do we forge connections using the technologies that everybody's like very much used to now, but actually forging connections back to the earth and the cosmos is a big part of this, so yeah.
Big time. So I mean, these are redundant, but like it's like this is the part for me that's super frustrating. Like for what we're doing, it's so obvious to me. Like if I had resources and money, I would be like, how can I like give it, please let me like do something about this. But we need to like, I don't know how, I'm just hoping that people understand how important this is, just to do something different. But anyways, this was something also that was really important about what Adam shared, and he said to lean into this. And so, Charlie, obviously, you brought up Disney, right? I worked at MTV for about a year and a half when I was in New York. I don't know what the rest of our team has, but like maybe we need to lean into like our experiences of being on the other side, being in the spaces where we were, taking advantage of attention. I don't know, Mick, if you have experience, but I mean, for me, for sure, I was definitely on the side. Charlie, you've been with Disney, so you were on that side. Where else have we been, that it has? But the Disney thing is huge, Charlie. Like that's what Adam was saying, is that we are reverse engineering, like what we learned from those spaces.
Right.
No, I've been hiding under a rock, you guys. I don't know about Disney and MTV knowledge.
I mean, you throw UCLA in there. I mean, you're
Yeah,
part of the education program,
That's
like
true.
you're in
Yeah.
it. You are the one actually with kids, or I mean, adults, young
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah, for sure, UCLA. I mean, actually any Boys and Girls Club too. Yeah, I was just being facetious, but like the Boys and Girls Club definitely saw a lot of that as well happening. And like, I mean, they're all well-meaning. It's just a question of like not even having the framework,
Right.
for in terms of like UCLA and Boys and Girls Club, they just don't have like a framework that integrates like care for the earth and understanding of the self on a really deep kind of collective unconscious level, so there's just not a value system around it in academia.
Exactly. So ultimately, right, like this progression, really what was being articulated here, was like, okay, fine, we used to do this stuff, but now we're reverse engineering it. And then what the future is, well, we just have a completely different idea of what the future is. It's not so much as like adhering to what systems are there now, but it's about creating a system where the youth actually participate in like.
Can we add the word individualized education or something? I've been really pushing the idea of individualized everything, medicine, food, just because we come from really a pyramid scheme of like what we're supposed to be is from the top down, right? And it's even in education, these are what you're supposed to learn. Here are the grades. So if you don't, like you're not part of the group, and I think
Yep.
it's super important that we understand what kids, how different they are first, to
Right.
then be able to teach them how they're going to experience the world in their way, not the way that we have deemed, is better than other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beauty of that is actually the more you focus on those kind of elemental uniquenesses of each person, you actually find how you're very much deeply interrelated with everybody else and everything else.
Right.
So it's kind of like in the flip side of the individualized is like actually understanding the kind of the really
Yeah,
deep rootedness and interconnectedness, right?
it's like the puzzle analogy, right? Like every puzzle is different, but it's
Yeah.
together that they make the full picture.
Yeah, and then something to think about too is like this is towards producing partners. So how much can they handle with this wisdom, you know, this perspective, right? So something to think about. That's Adam was really articulating that well, right? There's some things in this that like we have to like simplify, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's the audience is very different.
Do you have examples, just so I have a sense of what kind of partners you're thinking of approaching, like who's in the pipeline?
Yeah. Actually, let me go down here too and share. Maybe I'll let me actually scroll through and I'll tell you. Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So here's like a measures of success. This was actually really awesome that Adam proposed, which was like for us to like think about the measure of success actually being like how alive do the teenagers and kids feel after, you know, like because that's if the problem we're dealing with is suicide and like not feeling connected and not feeling like meaningful or hopeful, well, the opposite of that is feeling more alive, right? And so that can be our measure, you know. Literally and figuratively. And then so here's another thing that came up that was really awesome was this is Charlie, kind of like what you're talking about. The user experience, which is the hero's journey, is what we're kind of setting up. And so there's stage one is like the individual coming alive, right? Like individually, like the youth coming alive. Stage two is coming alive together, like in group, like as you're saying, Mick, like it's like within the elements or the elements combining together and connecting with each other, coming alive together. Step three is actually moving through the world, like actually going out after the SOILstice event, like the rest of the summer, going and doing stuff. And then the stage four is actually coming back and actually facilitating, you know, even as a youth, right? As a peer, mentor, or guide. So you can see like the stages here, right? And then if I go to the next thing, I kind of started taking notes on, you know, like, you know, let's do a case study. And this is kind of what we can throw out to the whole community. And you guys are here right now, but we'll come back to this in a second because I want to answer Emma's question. But I just came up with 3 different potential youth that come to the SOILstice, right? You got Jerry, right? He's, you know, from like South Central, right? You've got Maria, she's like, you know, from Los Feliz or whatever, right? And then you got like Tim or whatever, right? And he's from like Malibu, right? And so we have these 3 different teens coming from different perspectives. And what is their experience or stage 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially when they come to the SOILstice? So this will give like a really clear perspective to anybody who's producing with us. Like this is what you're actually investing in, like this transformation for these teenagers. So we'll get to this later. I definitely want to throw that out there. Here is kind of like what we're looking at when it comes to like looking at it towards like presenting partners, right? So like we can give it themes, right? You know how they have the gold, platinum, whatever, right? In different levels and tiers. But it was awesome. Adam kind of pushed me. Like I was like, oh, we're just like looking for 10K. He's like, no, dude. He's like, what I was thinking was 50 to 100. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you should go more and get like extra. And you guys, you know. So I really want to like give gratitude. We always, I don't know, as somebody who's always trying to seek spirituality, I'm always underselling myself because I don't think that way how much money I could make, you know, doing what's right. It's like, what? Like it should just be automatic. So thinking about it in this way, so in that sense, kind of the production partners that we're looking for, you can see like what is a 20K production partner? Maybe this 20K could come from somebody in the cryptocurrency space. That's what was coming into my mind. Like Jackie has been wanting something like this to present to people she knows in the crypto space. They might throw in 20K for us to use their cryptocurrency for the NFTs or whatever that we're going to give to the kids, right? That's one idea of a potential sponsorship. Another a sponsorship or presenting partner could be Kiss the Ground, for example. Maybe they give us 10K and we have a table for Kiss the Ground where kids can go and volunteer and with them for the rest of the summer, right? That's like another perspective, right? Maybe it's a local organization, a LA organization that is doing something in regenerative soil. Maybe they're doing something in water. Maybe it's a company, like actually a company that's trying to do things consciously, and they can like also come in as a partner. A few different angles here. It could just be an individual, like a trustee, who's like, oh, I have a K. I would probably give that 1K to some politician running for office, but instead of that, I could give it to this,
I'm curious how things could be screened, to play devil's advocate, on like companies that come in, because this is obviously a very clear target audience for some of these companies. And I did a lot of, so I didn't mention earlier, apart from being a meditation teacher, which was my side thing from the past 4 years when I was leading a regenerative food systems transformation project at a global charity. And I worked with big food companies, retailers, CPGs, Nestle's, Danone's, all those guys. So I was constantly toeing the line of like, what is greenwashing? What is championing real stuff? And then what is me sitting on stages being interviewed and like giving case studies, stories when I'm asked of top examples from our partners, because they're the ones who are in my ear every day on calls. So looking at this for the first time, I'm like, oh, this could be a very ripe, opportunity for a company to come in and like, is there going to be criteria around there can't be just one, crypto company, or there can't just be one category. So then it's kind of endorsing, it's endorsing in a potentially inadvertent way, one thing to a very susceptible audience. That's basically advertising. Like that's why these companies.
Great point.
So yeah, I just thought about these things.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about the cooperative business space is how you like, in order to participate or invest or work in a cooperative, there's usually like a code of ethics that you have to like sign off on, right? Like whether you invest in the co-op or you are a worker in the co-op, or you're like, there's like grocery co-ops, for example, they actually have a code of ethics and you have to sign off on it. There's like principles, like permaculture principles almost, but for business, right? So I wonder if we should develop, that's a great point, Emma. Like, I wonder if we should develop a presenting part or just a partnership ethics, code of ethics.
Yeah, it's like, what are they putting on the line too? Because that's what we had as well. It's like anyone could give us money for advertising, basically, but we had criteria so that we made them commit certain FTE hours each year, so that they actually showed up at our advisory board meetings. Like they're actually doing their job as advisory board members, and they have to pay to play because they need to have skin in the game. So how might this event and engagement have a longer term view for evolving the companies or sponsors too, so that's not just a one-off cash kind of grab and transact? It could be a transactional thing for some of these organizations, but to get real integrity behind it. And yeah, what are you committing to as a partner as well, so that you're ensuring like everyone's really aligned, and a year later there's no potential reputation risk issues. I feel like a sponsor has kind of gone off the rails and doing things that are contradicting the brand and image of what this is.
It's a great point. That's good, like really good proactive risk management for sure. What do you guys think about that, Mick, Charlie?
Yeah.
Feel.
It sounds interesting. It's kind of new to me, so yeah, I'd love to kind of see how that works.
I mean, yeah, it's the same. I'm like, yeah, I'm all on board. I honestly feel a little lost in terms of like how to approach sponsors and all of this kind of like fundraising. And even like the fact that Adam brought up like more than 10K. I'm like,
I
what?
can help you with this.
So
yeah, you gotta go for big dollars. You gotta you can have a 10K level, but that's for the people who can only pay 10K. Like
yeah,
budgets are in millions. If it's a marketing, they'll put on marketing P&L. And you got to hit them at the right time in their budget cycle. So you want to hit them at the end of the year when they got cash that they need to spend, or like the very beginning when they're laying out their budgets for the next year.
but the end of
that's
the
another
fiscal
thing.
year is what,
But
like July,
everyone runs
right?
on different ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people are doing reporting in August. Well, reporting starts earlier. Yeah, August. I think things come out.
Yeah, but I think it is a good point.
But yeah, you want to set up. I always found.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Emma.
sorry. I was just gonna. Well, it's on my mind. Like, if it's helpful, because I had to learn on my last job. It wasn't initially part of my job remit, and then suddenly I was pitching constantly for money. I had to raise money to pay myself and my whole team. And so I had to learn. But it's like in the pitch presentations, the way that we found it most successful in structuring was like hit them with a really inspiring vision right off the top. Don't hit them with the problem. Don't start with the problem. Start with the vision, get them on board for that, and then break down some further detail, which is there when you can relate to the problem in language that speaks to them. So you might have a couple different versions, you know, if it's like an education kind of leaning place or tech leaning place, then you articulate things a little differently to meet them where they're at. And then you say what's in it for them and make it really clear, and then what we expect from you and what that commitment is and the next steps and how you can follow up. So that kind of less than 10-page deck, which you can easily email around, you can use every time like one of less than 5 variations of it in a presentation. And if someone, you know, calls you saying like my boss can do a chat this afternoon, like you're just ready to go. And then you have a 1 or 2 page proposal document that's still very high level overview, but just summarizes basically what you said and presented so that you can send it as a follow-up. And then it's just, you're not over investing time in the asks, because probably 10% of people will even come back for a proper conversation. And you just don't want to go down rabbit holes, because you can get like, yeah. But then actually it needs to be raised up to the very higher ups who sign the checks. And it's like a no from the beginning. So you just want to get to that answer as fast as possible.
Heck yeah. Definitely wisdom right there for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch that to like break that down the way you had it.
I can write the.
Yeah, I was trying to write some notes down. That was quite a bit. In that. It's a good way to think about just writing out the deck. To kind of focus on the inspiring stuff first.
Mhm. Definitely.
And what about the timeline that we're looking at, right? I mean, we're exactly a month out from the event, right? So I also have no idea like if what that looks like with, I mean, obviously if somebody gives you, you know, if you have a few sponsors that give you like 10K each, it's pretty easy, but I don't know. My only experiences with like Kickstarter, you know, which can happen fast too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those are all things I've been like contemplating a lot lately. It's been definitely in my consciousness. Is the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what if we moved it out maybe a month or 2?
It's possible.
Because we're still building this out. I mean, right now no one has the final date, and 2 months can still be rescheduled for people.
Right.
Just still building this out still, right? I mean, we're still going to do this no matter what. We just need a date that's a little bit more preferable for us.
Yeah, and partnerships, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, how do we make this something that is viable, right? And like Emma's saying, how do you make it so that there's integrity too with the partnerships? Because I think that's super important. Like, once we start taking any money from any direction, like, how do we mitigate issues that come with that attachment?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing if we're putting our own money in, but so got Emma on here, she's grabbing. And then as you can see too, I added, these cats in here. Rolla is Jackie's company. That's woman technologist, woman in tech. But yeah. I mean, and then if we do another date, then do we do it around a sacred time, Like, is it better than to do it like towards like an equinox?
I mean, I'm gonna say sure, that's always great, but let's be also realistic on timing wise for ourselves, right? And if like it's a great day, but no one can make it, it's probably not.
Right.
And for teens too, like summer dates are better than in the middle of the school year or the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, nice, Emma. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, I was just typing that away.
Nice. That was fast.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like, like in building out like more of the tech aspect of it, which would that be more valuable, because then it allows us to get some of that kind of partnership too. Better.
What part of tech are you talking about?
Like whatever, NFT, whatever crap. I say crap because it's all silly, but it's at the end of the day, it's like a Pokemon, like
yeah.
You can think about if you want to have different kinds of partners. So just hearing you speak, what's going to my mind is a development partner who's someone you feel comfortable going to now, who's a closer, like warmer relationship, who you can be in the rough zone with, and like you want to co-create, and there's something in it for them to co-create with you and come in at this stage, versus something like a visibility partner, which you want to go to more like, when you have a very clear crystallized vision of what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to do it, like they have no doubts in their mind that there's any questions around anything, and like they're ready, they just want their name on it and they want to be associated. And then you build the like FOMO factor and momentum around, okay, we've got these 3 great names on, come join the club kind of thing. But they're not fundamental in delivering the program.
They're not attached to it. I even, that's funny you bring that up, Emma, because I found there was another event going on that I got emailed on, and they have this page, they have this pitch deck, and then in it has sponsorship opportunities, and then they have like different sponsor packages, like essentials. They even have like a food and beverage sponsor, right?
Yeah, I mean that's when we get big enough to like have the separate kind of sponsors. But in the beginning, it'd be easier for just one thing for like one event, because breaking it down is, I mean, because this is a huge event and like thousands of people are probably going to this event. So I was thinking, instead of like the NFT, give us time actually to build out further the curriculum, with the idea of like the organization using the elements and astrology, and then having maybe partners in each of the elements, right? And reinforcing that. So by the time we show something, like the product is more fleshed out, because with tech, like tech moves too fast to rely that as your backbone, and that's the issue. versus if you have an idea and then the tech, whatever tech we choose to supports the idea, then we're not like, if the tech disappears, we're not stuck with like, well, there goes that idea, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I like the idea of NFT, but it should be like one of the 4 assets, which is like maybe Earth, right? The pentacles or the materialistic things, the values, right? Because that supports value and definition of currency and trading energy. But, you know, we have other partners that could be more like, I mean, we already talked about soil, which is really strong, like farming and all that. But like, let's talk about like the water, you know, like the healing arts, you know, the different modalities of people coming in talking about, you know, Reiki or all the different modalities that is not talked about in mainstream. You know, so that could be also in like the partners themselves are part of also educating, right? The people that we believe are going to, like, where you would send your kids to go learn stuff, right? If you
Right.
have kids.
Right.
That basically are also going to naturally want to be collaborating with us to educate, right? The next audience of like, so like museums are a great idea where they want more of these kids to come through to learn stuff, right? Ticket prices and all that, because they're setting up exhibits to go experience things.
Right.
Because I could see it like, it used to be like we used to go on field trips a lot, and then it became really hard. And now like you can't even go to school unless you're like fully messed up. So like the idea of like exploring the world in education has gone lower and lower, where like now you're just locked up in a room and like that's your education, right? And so if we, because now it's an opportunity to say, hey, you guys lost a ton of people recently because of COVID, like let's bring back kids to museums again, you know, in one way of it. But you know, like, how do we just make the everyday space be our partners? So, you know, and that we could be like more the amethyst, you know, community partners. Because then we can still have like the big partners who want to be like national chains and, you know, want to like help out national footprint.
Yeah, that's makes me think, like, as you were saying, Emma, like there's different types of partners, and like there could be partners who share their space, and that's their partnership, right? Their farm, their whatever, like their physical space. Um, and then there's partner, yeah, that's like one type of partner, is a space partner.
Yeah, because it's just, you know, doing an inventory, which you may have already done at this point, but to fulfill the kind of parameters of what you want to do, how you envision this event for however many number of people, what do you actually need? And some of these things require money, and some of them it's like, well, if a vendor came and supplied food, like that's really helpful, right? It's VIK, value in kind, rather than giving you cash. So yeah, you can get creative on how to satisfy those needs, and then think about, okay, this is, if this is like a real world test with intent and desire to further iterate and scale, then there's further, you know, funding pursuits associated with that, which is all about scaling and growth, which you need. And it's good to, as much, it's hard as it is, because I totally resonate with what you said earlier, like, you know, us in this space tend to just give everything for free and just be like, oh, we'll put our own money on the line. And actually, how do you kind of pull yourself in and be like, no, that's one of the fundamental issues in our society and structures right now. It's like we need to properly value things and make sure that others are valuing things, and that starts to get embedded.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't be coming from a scarcity mindset if we're trying to encourage abundance mindset for growth mindset for kids and teens, you know. We have to embody the growth mindset. Yeah. Oh man, you guys.
Is there more to the slides?
Let me see. No, it's just, this was the last one I had
Okay.
completed.
I mean,
Then,
I think we should also put something about what our vendors that we're looking for.
oh yeah,
And, you know, maybe we're not here just for anybody. We're actually here to look for the right partners are going to support what we're doing. Right. And I think that goes back to kind of what Emma was talking about, right? I mean, our relationship is really with the partner. So it's really, how do we or talk about what it could look like,
Right. Right.
Because I do think that we're really gathering traffic and information and knowledge, right? But we just need now a place to land this all this energy. So space is like a Earth asset, right?
Right.
I was just for fun gamifying the idea of vendors were also part of the game, and they could get their own avatar or their own like uh something in the game.
Right.
Too.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, because the idea is they're quest givers, people who get kids to go and do things.
Right.
Yeah. I love the idea of them having like actual like physical structures, venues in the virtual space when they contribute and so like beyond they would have like an avatar, a presence in that space that kind of like is the guardian, but that would be like each one would kind of be a portal or a passage.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like we're making our own metaverse, right? Because each of these locations, vendors could be like a different metaverse. I mean, you go to farmland, it's a very different experience that if you go to like the beach where it's all water and it's like a whole different village lifestyle living next to water all the time, right? And that's kind of like quest givers, right? Like, hey, go and see like how many things you can see on the beach. So like beach cleanup, right? And getting kids to like understand and appreciate like what it takes to like keep the beaches clean.
Exactly.
You're just gonna put things that in each of these categories.
Yeah, exactly. What? So basically, so now it's like, all right, so you said Earth is space, right? So we need like, insert, put like a like a physical space, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then
And maybe the farm or agriculture.
should I make this be a separate thing like that?
Yeah. Because later we can mess with each of them separately.
Right. And then air this could be like cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's usually in the green space of Earth, but it's funny because it's crypto, so it's almost digital now. Versus back in the days, they'd be like real coins, real assets that you barter between people.
That's where the farming comes in.
Yeah.
Water would be
Healing spaces or
healing modalities.
yeah. Resting places.
Fire would be food,
Movement. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Or entertainment or
Oh, yeah, that's like
just
basically
fun
all of
things.
us.
Like the fun things are usually in the fire signs, like singing, dancing, It's usually movements, like a physical movements, like yoga is in the fire signs.
No?
The air sciences could be like the knowledge and history and
Well, storytelling.
information, storytelling. Yeah. So museums would fit more in the air science because museums like learn about cool stuff, right? That's their museum-ish. Yeah.
Water.
I mean,
Water is
Water.
like drinks and a social community. So like community oriented stuff, like helping around the community. It's very watery.
yeah, I mean, also probably like social work and psychotherapy. And if you're
Yeah.
looking for those kind of partners who are in those fields.
Like the caring for older people, folks, right? Or hospitals, like those would be those kind of partners. And I'm just
Right.
thinking about like all the classes I took in like in school and what would be like the four elements and the vendors that would be connected. Well, because think about it, like everything that you learn in school, you could possibly put like a vendor that's out there that if you wanted to learn more, you go to them to kind of learn more, right? I mean, today we go to the internet, but like that's not enough. Sometimes you need to have like the physical connection to what you're searching for.
Right.
So I have another kind of thought about timing and everything is what if we did something is on the same date, but not at a venue that costs $5,000, and really use it as a springboard for the kind of like
Future.
for the thing that's going to happen in a year, maybe
Mhm.
on that same date, where we actually develop all the technologies and make it like super polished and, like just
Mhm.
a real kind of festival, kind of like, Burning Man started this way too. It's like
Right.
just a bunch of friends got together and did things, and it was cool, and it scaled up. I mean, with obviously like some support, but it could be as simple as like a Kickstarter or something like that this first year, or just like pooling from friends and
It's more, that would be much more realistic of like getting the teenagers, you
Mhm.
know, it would be more, I feel it would be more viable, you know?
How
Mhm.
do you plan to attract the teenagers? Like, how's the word meant to get to them at this point?
A couple of our already like potential partners have nonprofits that work with foster youth. So they were going to bring
Oh, nice.
youth
Okay.
from that perspective. And then we just made the pivot last week to be like, oh, maybe we'll market it to like the yoga and spiritual community, and they can have their kids come, and pay for it like a 1-for-1. Like the foster youth don't have to pay for it. So that was what our thinking was. We still can make it, like you're saying, make something smaller and maybe do it on a farm or on like some local organization that has property.
I think doing like, as I've learned from design approaches, doing things from a prototyping perspective in that kind of smaller format, not much to lose. And it's really the big benefits of learning and like trying to create an initial tight group of champions and people you can bring along the journey. And even better if you can capture learnings that then you can share, because failure isn't failure if you're learning from it. So there's so much to gain, and footage too. Because like video, like the powers of actually bringing this to life, even if it's in little snippets, fragments at this point, like that starts to make things real in people's minds, because this is so far out there for so many potential people who you will speak to down the line.
Yeah, I like that. It's a very good point.
Yeah, what about the mushroom farm? Is that still what's the status that?
So I still have a relationship there.
Huh?
That's still totally viable. We got the Bay Area community.
Feel like that might be a pretty cool place to prototype. And
Yeah,
have people on board that are also into the tech aspects of prototyping. You know, the crypto.
Emma, do you know about?
I think that mushroom farm is actually a great weekend getaway, even better than just a 1 day thing. 'Cause it's, it works really well for like a few people staying on site, with the food and everything. So that's like a great weekend thing. But I do agree that the prototyping is a good idea because, and instead of 1 year, maybe we do less than 1 year, but like maybe we do 4 in a year. And then we build up to something bigger, but every quarter, maybe we do something maybe on the weekend to kind of slowly build and gather, different groups of people so that when we do the bigger one next year, then we've gathered in 4 different events rather than just one event and hope people remember us in a year.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And it's conducive already with like the 4 elements. If we were to do 4 once every quarter, 4 elements or something, that's one way of doing it. So that, I like people are like, oh, I don't want to miss it because I don't want to miss an element, and that's one way. Like people like completionists like me, like, oh, I really can't wait for the next one because I want to like gather all 4 elements. And that could be, part of the game too, where you like, come to the 4 events so you can go and gather up the 4 elements. In that sense too.
What a cool place. I never heard. They're in
High Ranch is
Tuscany?
amazing. They got hit by some of the fires a couple of summers ago.
Mm.
I've been there and know Jared, who's like one of their founders, and they've been rebuilding, but it's all about community food sovereignty. They do apprenticeships and trainings, and they work with lots of sponsors and they're very well networked who fund them and bring busloads of kids from San Jose and San Francisco, low-income communities. So just like actually get on a farm for the first time ever and learn about food and help break
Wow.
these cycles of food injustice. So it's amazing.
Oh yes, it's
And yeah,
It's in the same area as the mushroom
the
farm.
same area as the mushroom
I
farm.
can go to both.
Literally the same area.
Maybe
Like,
we have a natural like hallway space of like, awesome places we can go teach and rebuild education there.
Yeah, it's good to build up that kind of list of places.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to drop in a minute and get to dinner.
Thank
Sorry
you.
if you guys
Yes,
continue.
thank you for being
It
here.
was so nice to meet you. It's nice to see you again, Indy. Have a good rest of your Sunday, and thanks for letting me just dive in, throw all
Yeah.
sorts of questions and thoughts at you. So I hope it was helpful.
Very, very helpful. Thank you,
Yes.
Emma.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a beautiful dinner. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Emma.
And then there were 3. And the AI.
Yeah. Always the AI.
It's always the AI watching.
Fireflies taking notes.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you guys think of like doing more of a series, right? And still doing a small prototype, but the prototype maybe every quarter just gets a little bit bigger until we get to like a much bigger Burning Man experience. Is that too much?
Yeah, that seems healthy. I mean, I think we have to gauge whether we're able to do it every single quarter or not, right? Like we have to also kind of be realistic. Maybe it ends up only happening like 3 times, or
right.
just
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm not hung up on like 4 or 5, whatever. But like the idea is like, I want us to have like a series of things where we don't have to recreate a new marketing campaign for what we're doing, but it's like instead of 1 day, it's like 3 or 4 days, but built out in a couple of months, so that we can keep like gathering people, say, oh, if you can't come to this one, you know what? In like 3 months, we have a really awesome event that's still the same, that's going to be done here, you know? And so
Right.
maybe we're just gathering through the year. It's, you know, making the event a little bit bigger every time, or maybe we're testing things out. They based on like, we do maybe, you know, the regen farm and the mushroom farm, which is soil. But what if like the following year we went to like a water space, like
Right. Right.
Hawaii, and we connected to the oceans,
Right. Right.
you know, and really had a more connected connection to, I don't know, boating and fishes, you know, like, you
Right.
know,
Right.
so, because I love doing that in camp. Like when I was in camp, I only did it like out of the 12 years in college, in school, like I did in 6th grade. I went to like
Yeah.
Catalina Island, which was really cool, you know, like I was like, wow, ocean water, you know, like I didn't know the schools take you to these places.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's wonderful. Oh,
Because then it still keeps us in what we're doing, but like, because what's been frustrating is I don't want to keep pivoting, right? I think we have a lot of good stuff, but I think if we just stuck to one thing that we keep slowly building, it'll make itself like really organized in a year, because we'll be able to like iterate on it. But
Yeah.
know that like we don't have to like, pivoting's tough because then you have to like shift all your energy to like think of what's gonna work this time. But if we know it's gonna work, but just take a couple of sessions, then you know there's like growth to that end. Because if in 3 tries it doesn't work, then we have, you know, the prototype doesn't work. But if we like in 4 tries, it's like it looks really good, then we'll feel confident in a year to do a bigger event, whatever that looks like. I mean, it's just really upgrading, right? It's like in any game, you start with like the wooden sword,
you're right.
you know, until you get to like the metal sword, that, you know? So, you know, that's this thing is like we can.
And then the glowing sword.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. But you're a Jedi.
Exactly.
Because then this will, excuse me, this will give us a little bit more time to kind of build this out a little bit further, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
But I still
Agreed.
think like if you still want solstice time, like maybe something on cheaper end, or we pass it on so that we can get more funding to do something that's still, you know, a good location that's not too expensive.
I mean, on it, I feel like we could get someplace donated.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
um,
because the first place like is really just us making the experience. The dome is like an upgrade of like an awesome place to do an event.
right.
Hmm.
So okay.
Yeah, but they're clearly not like partnering in that
Mhm.
way. They're just, you know, they're doing what they do. They rent the space out.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, I mean, if we came back with a little bit more of a lot of people and more people behind us, like it, you know, we
Yeah.
can really take advantage of that more.
Exactly.
So speaking of LA and San Francisco, like, because I think we want to pull some of our resources. Do you think LA is a better place, like you even get donated place, or you think you have more? We have more connections in the Bay.
There's 2 angles to it. There's like the angle of the space, but there's also like how do we need to like have a guarantee of kids or teenagers to be able to come,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So I think,
I mean, the above populated cities is just who you know, right? Who do you guys know?
I mean, I'll share my perspective. The Bay Area people are a little bit extra careful. It's harder, like especially with the kids who are more from like the more like the disadvantaged spaces, right? They're even more especially careful.
Mm.
But the relationships I personally have in LA with those people are more open to coming to something like this than they are in the Bay.
Okay.
And there's more spiritual yoga parents in LA that would bring their kids than the ones in the Bay, who are a little bit like extra careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I say let's find a place in LA and start with that first.
Yeah. I remember there's that place up in Topanga, right? That you've done some kirtan. Is
Mhm.
that a possible location?
That is a possible location, yes. And he's been wanting to like do stuff with youth as well.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot, and it's called Eden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a co-op, Eden co-op. So that's potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it on the list. Because I think also in doing this deck, it'll help us actually explore the type of partnerships we can find that might end up like really building what this first initial party looks like, right? Because then
Right.
they could easily be like sponsoring, donating stuff that we really need. Because this is really helping us also in our own like exercise to break down what is it that we need
Right.
and people can get involved with.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, can't find it. There's that place. There's a few farms, and I know what's her name, Jennifer, who she also has connections to a few farms in LA, like regenerative farms.
Hmm.
And she also has relationships with like local indigenous elders too, if we want them to come and do,
Yeah. I really think like a type of farm would be the best for the first one because I really want to be able to know what plants they grow and we could have because I did this is like when you go find like a plant in the farm then you have to take a picture and then show us and then maybe get like a card or an NFT, right? And that could be
Right.
really fun. And those cards are the ones I already have in the board game, so I can easily like make this a really like fun experience. So then it shows how like we can gamify like a farm where
Right.
it automatically turns into like a school and very easy for kids to kind of learn.
This is I'm also have a relationship with these are the Kiss the Ground.
Oh, yeah.
They're there, and this is farm that's north of LA.
Oh, that's the Sage Farm too, right?
Yeah, it's a sage farm too.
Ooh.
So and they are really good friends. And so this is a potential also awesome place. And they already do volunteer days already. And they have like people come and do tours of the regenerative farm.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have necessarily like an education space.
No.
Okay, so that's a good place where people are already doing that. Like we can add a way to then send more traffic who wants to do more things at the farm.
To do farm tours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it right now. But we can, ours could be like a little bit more of like an experience for the day,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It sounds great. Another place is the birdhouse. It's small, but for prototype phase could work.
Birdhouse is great. Yeah, that's where Jennifer did the thing with the indigenous elder.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, so I have
What's it
connections with
called?
them. Jennifer has connections with them. So the birdhouse,
Birdhouse.
yeah, it's in Hollywood, and that makes it kind of more of like easier to get people from inner city, like
Right. This one. So we get a couple options. I mean, you have these two, right? Soa Heart and this one. Thing with Soa Heart is like it's big, so we can like go from place to place. There's like they have goats, they have goats and cows, and we can actually go and like do stuff with the animals and do stuff with have like more physical spaces to move between. But like you said, Mick, it's harder. Might be harder to get like. But then again, like if we're doing something prototypical, we don't need a lot.
Yeah, and I think if we like plan to also like doing a lot like good filming and production stuff, right? That's a good way to show like how we're engaging with the kids too. Because then putting that on a reel it really emphasizes how we're connecting with the kids. Because that's really what we're solving, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah, the inspiration behind that is like connecting kids back to like real world experiences.
Right.
And this goes back to that whole entrepreneurship too, right? Because then we can go to these locations and talk about how like they're small business, and that is how we also want to. Because we could do like but like kids could maybe could also do like a report on like small businesses to talk about more about entrepreneurship and how like what it takes to have your own business.
Right. This is a good one too. Moonwater. I've been there. They're cool.
No, in Compton.
Yeah, they're really good. They have like, and they have goats too.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds good.
Right.
It's already in South LA too, so they already have regulars from that region that are, yeah.
Yeah, and then we can also bring like that could be an invitation for some of the like the richer kids to come down to that one, that area. Dude, Moonwater, it's like in this neighborhood where there's like Mexican cowboys with horses. Like literally, they're really cool.
Caballeros.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They're just walking around the neighborhood. I was like, what the? This is in LA? Cool.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
It's cool. Yeah. Okay.
Like if you park and you walk around there, there's like people washing their horse in their front yard. Like it's just totally cool. Like you're in a different world.
Look, the goats are the first thing on their page. Moon and Claire. The Moonwater Farms.
Yeah. They're so cute, dude. Their goats are so cute. So, okay. So maybe this is an interesting pivot we make,
Yeah.
for the 14th. Okay.
Yeah, or in that range, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of? Do you think? I mean, if we make it smaller and we get a place donated for June, I think it's not so bad to still pull it off by then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But just keeping it like flexible between the 14th and the 20th, maybe, just like the 21st.
Right.
In that solstice time.
Right.
But
Right.
Indy, you're gonna be coming out
I
here.
have to go to Houston. I have to be in Texas on the 21st weekend.
Okay. Well, yeah, right. Anywhere between the like 13th and the 20th then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we did it in any location, maybe we would have weekends available. If it worked out better too. Because one of the concern with the weekends was the location, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, so you're thinking like we could even do it the weekend of the 12th, 11th to 12th.
Yeah, if that's better for like some parents who will go to the farm too, and
right, exactly,
adds another layer. Because I mean, having parents there with kids, two partners is actually a big deal because they still, I mean, the kids and the parents means that the parents already have the buy off to like do whatever the kids want to do versus if they're not there, then the kids have to like sell the parents of like, I want to go to this place.
Right. It's like Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're like rebuilding a Disneyland, but it's based on like what's already out there.
Right.
Right. We don't need to rebuild something or simulate something like in Disney where it's like a fake set, but like it's actually like the real locations.
Right.
Real goats.
Yes, real goats, the animatronics.
Exactly.
real Johnny Depps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, by the way, we could get I was that kind of visualizing getting him as a sponsor because he now was like, I'm never going to work with Disney again.
Oh wow.
He's like, he like said it in the jury meeting, like, or in the court. He's like, I'm never going to work with them again.
Hey, we could totally have a we're not going to work with Disney again group.
Right.
Let's say how we're going to like make our own. But yeah, this is okay. This is good. We'll be able to like build this out to build more of a like a something that's gonna be done more often. Because then if we, rather than do just one small off thing for the summer, like every
Right.
couple of months, we kind of keep building this up.
Yep.
I'd be happy to reach out to my contacts at the birdhouse and see what they say about that even feasibility.
Okay.
Yeah, as a next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also when we talk to the partners, like kind of see like what are some of their own like issues, right? Like what would they like help on, and maybe we can solve that solution on the way of like helping them out.
Right.
Working with them.
Totally.
Cool. Okay, so what are we gonna focus this week on? You guys gonna still build out the deck? Because now we have a little bit more of a structure to kind of work with.
Big time.
And we can build that out. Okay.
Build that out. I also, now that this is kind of done, is like coming up with I wanting to come up with a play shop that fulfills some of the natal chart, some elemental knowledge and wisdom. Like personally, I want to be able to model it for all the other people, right? And so I'm also going to work on that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, cool.
And then I'll also reach out to the contacts I have at Moonwater and see what's up. And then I'll talk to Jennifer too. But she's probably getting the AI here, but I'll talk to her as well about like what farm she knows and has good relationships with.
Okay.
She knows Birdhouse, but she knows some other ones too.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome, guys. This has been good, informative, giving us a little bit clearer path.
Right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Then it might be less stressful not having wisdom and trying to fulfill that.
Yeah, but it's actually think of it more like it's what we would like to shoot for as we kind of build this out. But it's a great vision because these little small ones kind of give us an idea that we can build something bigger.
Big time.
Cool.
Yeah. Or there may be another like wisdom type space that has a dome like that, media dome, that actually wants to like partner with us.
By the way, Mark said that they have the Vortex. Remember the Vortex one, Mick? It's actually it's packed up and in storage right now. And Mark was saying that they want to put it on. They want to put it somewhere.
Oh.
So maybe we'll also add that to like looking for a connection with that. So maybe in a year from now, we'll find the right partner for that.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Exactly. I mean, I think it would be better if a dome experience like that was on a farm.
Exactly.
As opposed to on a place with AstroTurf, which
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, because it's like creates that connection between the chakras, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the place I was at in Maui would be perfect, but there's some politics that need to be adjusted first.
Yeah.
Like all places, politics.
Oh boy.
Man, I love you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, love you guys too.
Yes, love you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
Take care. Good start to the week.
Yeah, too. And happy eclipse.
Oh yes, happy eclipse.
Oh, that's right, dude. That's right.
Yeah.
Shifting into the